Hi, my name is Colby Sharp. I'm so excited to share with you today the books that my students are currently reading. It is January of 2020 and they have been reading some amazing books. And before they headed out to recess, I asked them to just place their books on the table and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them now. Starting off, we have Give and Take by Ellie Swartz. Ellie's books have been very popular in my class today. I believe that the student reading this also read her book Smart Cookie. She's a big fan here. Give and Take, Ellie Swartz. Next up, Olga Out of Control. I love these illustrations. They're just so fun. If you haven't read this, if you haven't read the Olga books, you should really check them out. This is book 3, super popular. Next up, a couple of my kids went to the library today and picked up some Tim Green books. They went together and came back together. Love seeing that. So we have Unstoppable and First Team. Tim Green, former Atlanta Falcons football player, now children's book author. From the American Girl series, Real Stories from My Time in the Underground Railroad. Andrew Clement's Losers Club. Man, it was so sad a few months ago to lose Andrew. Rest in peace, man. What an amazing author. What a gift to children's literature. I had the opportunity to interview him for the Yarn podcast and sit down and chat with him, and what an amazing, amazing person. If you haven't read Losers Club, it's a great book, especially for book-loving kids. Next up is Jerry Craft's The New Kid, or just New Kid, sorry. Newbery Medal. First graphic novel to win a Newbery Medal. How exciting that was this past week. My kids watched with me and they were all really excited to read it. I actually had our classroom copy had disappeared and I ordered it last week. So this book actually arrived the day after the announcements, and now a kid is reading it and a long line of kids who would like to read it. Next up, The Land of Stories, book 2. This student is loving the series. She listens with her ears. We have an iPad with Audible on it, so she's following along with her ears and also following along in the story with her copy of the book, and she is totally digging it. Next up is The Magic Trap, which I believe is the 4th book in Jacqueline Davies' series. Started with The Lemonade War, which I believe this student's class read in 3rd or 4th grade, and she has made her way through the series. Really proud of her there. Great series. I've only read the first 2, really dug them. Next up, of course, we have some Dog Man Fetch 22. Dog Man, always popular, probably in most 5th grade classrooms in the country, as is this series. Amulet, student in book 6 here. I was talking to her right before she left. This is her 2nd time through the series. What a great series to read over and over again. Kids love it. Next up, a kid got this from the school library today. SpongeBob Comics #1, Silly Sea Stories. Oh, a boy in my class has been reading this and he seems to really dig it. I'm hoping he book talks it when he's done because it sounds like a book that a lot of my kids will like. I haven't read it, but it is called Hero Hurricane Rescue. Next up is The Best of Iggy by Annie Barrows, who wrote the Ivy and Bean series, which so many kids loved. This series is really catching on. It just came out and the kids are all about it. I think 7, 8, maybe 9 kids have read it. Iggy gets in lots of trouble, all different kinds of trouble, and the kids are loving learning about him through his story. Next up, Pay Attention, Carter Jones. I love this book. I thought it was one of the best books of 2019. I'm so excited. I've had 4 or 5 kids read it, and I was worried, there's a big cricket element in there, and a lot of kids aren't familiar with cricket here in Parma, Michigan, but they're digging it. Pay Attention, Carter Jones. A lot of people know who Jocko is. He's a Navy SEAL. He is a motivational speaker. He's an author. He's got a super popular podcast, really tough dude. Well, he's written a series called The Way of the Warrior Kid. I just learned there's 3 books. We only have 2, but the kids who have read this are really, really digging it. This kid's not very tough and wants to be a little tougher, and his uncle comes to town, and his uncle starts training him, and he's becoming a warrior kid. Next up, from the author of Judy Moody, Megan McDonald, is The Sisters Club. I haven't read this, but the kid reading it, I was doing a reading conference with her and she gives it a thumbs up. So thumbs up, Sisters Club. Next up, The Invisible Boy. I also have not read this. This student is just starting it, so I'm excited to see what he thinks as he moves his way through The Invisible Boy. It doesn't come out till June of 2020. I'm excited. Of course, Nathan Hale is popular. I love this series. I feel like I need to buy a whole new set of them. They are just worn, torn, and beat up. Next up, August Isle. I have not read this one. The student reading it is seems to like it, so excited to see what she has to say about it when she's done. Hopefully she will book talk it. 2 kids reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Gotta love Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Next up, this is a new series that I think it's new to me, that I'm not familiar with, but like 2 or 3 of my kids got these for Christmas. They are Coyote Peterson's Brave Adventures. I think he's a YouTuber or some sort of online personality, and the kids are all about it. So check it out. The kids are, they're really digging it. They're like reading it, passing it around, seem to like it. Next up, we have these fun Charlie Brown comic graphic novels in our school library. Kids love them. They always get checked out. And that just makes me happy because everybody needs a little Charlie Brown in their life. Everybody needs a little Linus. Another student on to book 2 of the Land of Story series, The Enchantress Returns. Kids love that series. I've actually never read one, and I need to read the first one. Fail. Oh, and of course the bobblehead biographies. Who was Henry VIII? I don't think bobblehead biographies is the official term. I believe they're called the Who Was books. But this kid loves them, and he's read so many of them. And he's on to Henry VIII. Think of all this cool stuff he's learning. And finally, dad jokes. So this is in one of my students' baskets at all times. And every day, one of these jokes is written on the board. And then right before they head out to lunch, we all guess and then answer it. And this comes from the students telling me that my jokes are dad jokes. And I don't know how I feel about that. I am a dad, but I feel like that's a negative thing. But we're having a lot of fun with it. And each day we get a dad joke on the board, and then we answer it. Today's dad joke: what is blue and smells like red paint? Blue paint. Paint smells the same. See, that's the kind of stuff. We're having fun in here. A couple of things, or one thing really. If you do this, if you take all of your students' books and you put them in a pile, and you don't have to like make a video, but just try it once. Try it and see what you learn. Because I learn something every single month when I do this. And the thing that I am really learning this week is that almost every single book that my students are reading is created by white creators. And while I have a very high population of white students, that's something that I need to be aware of and thinking like, why is that? Like, why is almost every single book here written by a white creator? And I'm not saying anything wrong with any of these books, but that just helps me to think about, do I need to be thinking, am I not doing a good enough job promoting other authors in class? Do I need to do book talks of creators that don't look like me? Do I need to do First Chapter Friday and expose my students authors that they might not know? Some things that I need to think about, and some things that will help enrich the lives of my students. So if you do this, if you put all your books together, maybe you'll see some trends. It might not be that, it might be something else, but we can learn a lot about our class as a whole by just putting the books that they're reading in a pile and thinking about them. So let me know down in the comments below, what books are your students currently reading? What books are popular? What are the books that they cannot get enough of? Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an awesome-tastic day, and happy reading.